yesterday, wanting to fly, but scared to try. But if someone like you found someone like me, then suddenly nothing will ever be the same. My heart will take wing, and I feel so alive. If someone like you found me. So many secrets I long to share. All I have needed is someone there to help me see a world I never seen before. I love to open every door to set me free, so I can soar. If someone like you found someone like me, then suddenly nothing will never be the same. There'll be a new way to life, a new life to love. If someone like you found me, oh, if someone like you found someone like me, then suddenly nothing will never be the same. My heart will take wing, and I'll be so alive. If someone like you love me, love me, love me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Shall I just
Yeah,
start?
I think, yeah, go right
Okay,
ahead.
great. We have a very wonderful sound for music theater, and what I mean by that is your sound is clear and not covered. So if somebody comes and sings something and they have very nice edge to their voice, that it's more it has an it's brighter. I wonder if that translates. And if it's further back, it feels darker, and this feels bright, and I think that is good. And then so then let me give you a few words to work on, just because they're English words, and to try to smooth them out a little bit so that it helps you communicate in the language. The word someone is it has in the middle of the word someone. So yeah, so the way that it's spelled, it looks like someone, but it's someone. Yeah, so that will help a lot. And then I wrote some notes down here. I'm trying to read my writing. Okay, so the word secret is the vowel that you want to focus on. So secret. So the end at in the International Phonetic Alphabet, that is called a schwa. Like we say our English word the, and it's a very open vowel. So, secret. The rhythm of my heart will take wing, and I feel so alive. So those two phrases, it's the rhythm that you want to feel. It should be a little bit more phrased to a different word. So I think that, let me just demonstrate. My heart will take wing instead of my heart will take wing. So accent on my heart will take wing, and I feel. The word feel needs to be accent, and I feel so alive. Those two, and then I wrote that. So the second thing technically is the pitch at the very end is sharp. So the way that we can help the pitch to remain even is to make the vowels taller. So if you're seeing the word me with that really bright me, someone like you found me, but if it's more me, and it has a little me in it, maybe there's even the thinking that the vowel is me,
got
like
it.
meh,
It's
yeah.
not E.
But someone like you found meh, not all the way, but put some of that color into the vowel, and it should help the pitch stay down because as we get more breath and more support under things and get excited, then pitch can go sharp. And so,
Yeah, I think for international singers, yeah, that's really important too. No, go ahead. Sorry.
oh yeah, no,
네.
exactly.
그래서
친구들이 너무 이 넘버를 할 때 너무 노래같이 하다 보니까 방금 얘기했던 그런 액팅적으로 보여지는 부분에서 좀 디테일이 떨어지는 부분이 있는 것 같다. 오늘 얘기해 주면 될 거예요.
And I agree, and especially it comes in my experience with opera. There was a time in the opera theater that people were just expected to sit there and sing and not really act, and so the more talented singers or the bigger voices have tended to be just singing and not acting. And I agree that we have to address the acting. It's very important. Now, opera theater has moved much beyond that. And if you were to go to a performance at the Metropolitan Opera, you would find that there's so much engaging acting going on the stage, regardless of what opera they're doing. But focusing it to music theater, and specifically to this song, I think the first thing to think about is that you must imagine that there's an actual person that you're singing to. And so being able to see that person yourself is the first step. And you must sing the song to that person, whatever experience that you may have. If you're talking about in this song, you're talking about looking for the right person, and then in the middle of the song, you find that person. So you have to experience the emotion of searching for that person, and maybe there's hopelessness in that searching. And then when you get to the first chorus, then someone like you found someone like me, and that tells the story of that you found that and you have been made whole because of it. So you must experience that emotion of finding that person. And then the next verse talks about how that makes you feel, the things that you're experiencing now that you found that person. So that's the third part of the song. And the last chorus, because someone like you, is just saying again that all of these things that I felt in the third section are what I'm experiencing, and I experienced this in a way of joy or happiness. You're the actor, so you make that decision. But to express that, so first you must sing it to a person, and you must see that person, and then you take all of those emotions, and then we have to see that you see that person. So and it can't be just inside your brain, but it actually it helps me as a coach to say that that person has to be standing in front of you in the room or in your studio if you're making a film, but you have to see them.
오디션 볼 때 그 캐스팅 함에 있어서 그 보이스 이미지가 좀 중요하게 그 역할에 캐스팅될 때 좀 중요하게 적용이 되는 건지 그 보이스가 가진 이미지도 좀 중요하게
그러니까 배우가 가진 이미지와 보이스 이미지가 맞아 떨어지는 게 더 중요한 건지 아니면 사실은 그냥 내가 가지고 있는 역량 자체가 더 중요한 건지.
Yeah, in the audition, I think there's a base level that you must achieve to sing, which is hopefully what everybody has when they come to an audition, that they can sing. And certainly this singer can sing very well. But I think what makes the audition successful, the most important element is how they tell the story. And you have to tell the story with emotion, and so the acting becomes much more important. And then I would add the third layer onto that is tell the story. You're acting the story, but you have to tell it as yourself as well. It has to be authentic. If it's just a show, then I can't connect to you as a person. So think about, go back to the Phantom, and what does the Phantom have that connects us all, and why is that something that so many people can identify with? And I think the answer is quite simple: is the Phantom wants to be loved, and he loves Christine, and he wants to belong in that relationship. And so, and that's what we all want. We want somebody to accept us for who we are. And I think that's why Phantom is such a universal emotion that we can connect to. Or you could take it to the message of Les Miserables that they so nicely summed up at the end of the show. But Les Mis is all about the relationships of people, and the fact that in spite of all of the trouble and hurt that they go through, the thing that keeps them going is their love for each other. So once somebody finds someone to love in that story, that's when they see the face of God, as they wrote at the end of the show. So so if you can connect us to an emotion that we feel in common with you, then you will stand out in an audition.
was the one who had it all. I was the master of my fate. I never needed anybody in my life. I learned the truth too late. I never shake away the pain. I close my eyes, but she's still there. I let her steer into my melancholy heart. It's more than I can bear. Now I know she never leave me, even as she runs away. She will still torment me, play me, hurt me, move me, come what may. Waiting in my lonely tower, waiting by an open door. I fool myself she were right in, and be with me forevermore. I rage against the trace of love. I curse the fading of the light. Though she'll let it from so far beyond my reach, she's never out of sight. Now I know she never leave me, even if she fades from view. She will still inspire me, be a part of everything I do. Waiting in my lonely tower, waiting by an open door. I fool myself she were right in, and as the long, long night begin, I think of all that might have been, waiting here forevermore.
You have a wonderful baritone voice, and that is such a great thing in music theater, to have a rich, deep, full voice in a role like the Beast. And then I think as you develop your range, it will be good to develop into some higher ranges as well, just so that you have more access to different roles. Because unfortunately, they don't write as many good roles for baritones in music theater as they do for higher voices. So I would definitely look at Javert and Les Miserables. You should look into Phantom things, absolutely. Jekyll and Hyde is also another good show to consider. But the newer shows that are coming out right now, they just don't have as much to offer a big voice like this. So so keep working to push yourself higher and to keep that fullness. But it is a wonderful sound, and I hope that you are able to do all of those shows. Technically, I think the biggest word that stands out to me right now is the word tower, and it happens a few times. So I would try to lessen the R at the end. So instead of tower, tower, yeah, just a little bit. You know, we as the audience hear much more of the R than you think we do. So I actually grew up in the middle of America, and so we really have a lot of R's. R, 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 R. So we always have to get those out. And so likewise, tower is a little bit more singable too, and it helps your voice too, because when you sing an R, you sing tower, and everything gets tight here, but tower goes forward, and you must bring it forward. Yes. And then don't clip words don't make words too short, like the word eyes, instead of ice, that actually sounds like a different word, but it's eyes, it has all the way through the word. The word then has, in English, this TH that we have, the tongue comes through the teeth, then, and so it feels funny, but you can practice then, like seeing your tongue go through your teeth, trying to make that work. Because I know that, yeah. So those are some very specific technical things. And then one big technical thing is phrasing all the way through the music. So each sentence in music is a musical phrase, and it has a high point and a low point, and you must decide where that high point is and where that low point is, and sing accordingly. So then I was kind of going to go into the character of the Beast, because I really think that the Beast, of all the characters in music theater, he seems to me to be closest to the Phantom, and is that yeah. So that connection of the Beast actually is a little different than the Phantom, because he really goes into how much he feels that he doesn't deserve her, and the Beast has actually created an entire world of keeping people out, whereas the Phantom wants to scare people to protect himself, but he lets Christine in, and all he wants is to run. If Phantom ended the way the Phantom wanted it to, he and Christine would have run off together. But the Beast does not feel that. The Beast wants to shut everything out, because I believe he lost all hope, and there's nobody to keep his hope alive. And so, if you can connect to that idea that this character has given up on the world, and it's really just at the very end that he finds that resolution. It's the last 7 minutes of the show before he comes to it. The Phantom already got there when he took Christine down to the lair in Act 1, but the Beast is, stay away from me, world. I'm not going to let anybody in. And in this song, he's having his regrets about it. My good friends who do Phantom, the role of Phantom, I think it's something that you should pursue, and know that it could take you a long time to do it. But you have the right type of voice, and I think working yourself up to comfortable high A flats, up above middle C, that's where it needs to happen for the Phantom to be a possibility for you. But you certainly have a tone of voice, and I like your presence and your physical presence for such a role. So keep pursuing that.
On my own, pretending he's beside me. All alone, I walk with him till morning. Without him, I feel his arms around me. And when I lose my way, I close my eyes, and he has found me. In the rain, the pavement shines like silver. All the lights are misty in the river. In darkness, the trees are full of starlight, and all I see is him and me forever and forever. And I know it's only in my mind that I'm talking to myself and not to him. And although I know that he is blind, still I say there's a way for us. I love him, but when the night is over, he is gone. The river, just a river. Without him, the world around me changes. The trees are barren everywhere. The streets are full of strangers. I love him, but every day I'm learning. All my life I've only been pretending. Without me, his world will go on turning. A world that's full of happiness that I have never known. I love him. I love him. I love him, but only on my own.
Wow.
Okay, you see?
Wonderful. Yes. Again, this is a great sound for music theater. And And if you listen to this recording through all of the years, from the first recording was made in 1987 in London, and she was a very this was a new sound at the time. This was to be so bright and singing what we call nasally, through the nose. That sound was very new and different at the time. And so I think over the years it's become kind of standard that we want to hear this song done by a bright young voice. And so this is a really good sound for this. And there are many shows that use this. Of course, everything that came after later is then starting to accept this as a sound for Broadway. And so there's just so many shows that you could use this sound for. So very good work there. I'll let you know.
And next.
So yes, so then technically, there's I'll do a few words. The word with is not with, but with, and you do it right without is right. So with, and then the vowels of his and in. We have a short I in English that is it's tempting to say he's or in, but it's his and it. So it's a small difference, but it sounds more authentic with the shorter vowels. And then we have, in English, we have what we call diphthongs, which are two vowels that happen together. And so I think for international singers, it's just don't hit the second vowel too hard. So my eyes, my is my, but it's not my. And then happiness, again, the A of happiness is like you say apple. And so not apple or awful, but apple. It's in between. And then the other vowel, the word and instead of in, and then this one, the word changes instead of changes, EH, changes. So those words, yeah. And then the only other technical thing I think when we go up into the phrase, and I know, and although I know that he is blind, the word blind is going flat. And the reason that you're below the pitch is probably because you need to change the vowel. And so, plenty of support there, but you need blind. It needs to be brighter, and it needs to push up into this little place here, so that it's, instead of, and although I know that he is blind, that's all of that directed. So brighten the vowel and push it forward, and I think it will not go flat. Those are my technical.
결국에 우리가 이제 영어권 사람들이 아니다 보니까 아마 이제 조라는 모습도 그런 부분에 대해서 좀 이해를 해주겠지만 영어권이 아니다 보니까 오는 문제가 뭐냐면은 지금 가사 보고 있지. 가사를 우리가 가사를 읽어버리니까 아까처럼 한국말로 이걸 읽어버리게 되는 거야. 내가 레슨할 때 실제로 되게 많이 하는 말 중에 하나가 뭐냐면은 절대 죽을 때까지 가사 보지 말아요. 그냥 노래 할 거면 영어 노래 같은 거 할 거고 외국 노래 할 거면 들리는 대로 외우고 그냥 발음이 들리는 대로 외워버려야 돼. 그냥 그 들리는 발음대로. 근데 지금 보면 다 읽어서 오는 문제야.
Yeah, it's singing through the music. We kind of have to take apart each word, and it does seem like a lot of work, but once you get to that level of detail and put it back together, then I think you can start to really develop the character after that, because everything else is lining up really well, and the sound is the right sound and very, very good for this role especially. So I think attending to the details, and then I can comment a little bit on the interpretation of it as well, like.
As an international singer, right? I think we tend to emphasize on each vowels and the pronunciation because we're just so hang up on the pronunciation, but that's our weakness, right? So we emphasize on it. Oh shit, I better not mess it up. So we tend to pronounce every single word, and that tends to be a mistake as an international singer, right? So I think it's really important not to pronounce like every single thing. Maybe emphasize on the what's important.
Yeah, I mean, and then you start thinking about pop music and the modern musical theater, like everything that's been written since 2005. Starts to get into the pop sound, and pop becomes much less focused on the words.
Right.
And so each consonant isn't quite as important. So so that's a whole different thing. But I think it's good to study these older ones because they teach us a good balance between paying attention to where we need to, and it's interesting because American students don't pay enough attention to these older ones, and so their addiction is not as understandable. And then it's good for us to find the balance on the international side as well.
Yeah.
I think this song, to me, is one of those examples of telling the story through the song, and so it moves us. It's not just how she feels, but she's telling us a story. And so to connect specifically to this one, and I wonder, what we feel in common with Eponine is that she is in love with somebody who's in love with somebody else, and that's what's so hard for her, is she can't help how she feels, but she really does know that he doesn't feel that way about her. And so sometimes we have that experience, and I think as the singer, you need to connect to that, even if you haven't felt it yet, but to think about what emotion is that, because some of it is the pity that you have for yourself and the sadness of not being fulfilled in that love, and the other part is really your love for that other person makes you want to encourage them to have this relationship that fulfills them. So it goes through the whole thing. And so if you can convey that journey, because she starts by feeling sorry for herself. All alone, I walk with him till morning, all of these things. And then she comes to a realization, and although I know it's only in my mind, it is her realization that, this is just me, and this is my problem, and it's not his. And so I love him, and when the night is over, he's gone. He's gone on to do his own thing, and he's in love with Cosette, and they must have this fulfilling life together. And so she then accepts that, and I think in that acceptance, she encourages his going on with Cosette. And so the end of this is, I love him, but it's going to only be me that loves him. And so, and I accept that. And so there's a whole journey that goes on there. Like that's a whole story within a story, right? Like it doesn't get much better than that. Like they packaged it up so nicely.
I
To
love
tell
that.
that story.
I love that you understand the song and just break down every single emotion and the story, and I think just it's beautiful how it just understands it, right?
Yes, I think singers should take as many acting classes as possible because you need to learn just the basics. Like when you learn to sing, you learn how to use your breath, and you learn how to use your vowels, and you learn how to have good diction with your consonants, and then make a good sound. And if you don't have those basic elements as an actor, you need to know how to put yourself in that other world. First of all, how to take on a character, and what does that mean? Like a character develops by understanding, first of all, the story that surrounds that character. Secondly, it must be the story that is written about that character, and then it needs to be your interpretation of what that character is and what you bring as an individual person to that character. And by understanding those basic things, just like when we learn to read, we must learn all of our letters and characters to be able to read. Then you're able to build those just like one block at a time to be able to act your way through, and then you can tell these stories, because at the root of it, all theater, whether it's sung or not, is telling a story, and we tell the same stories for thousands of years, and that is what we need to learn to do, and it's actually a lot harder than it looks on the surface.
저희 원래 드시는 거죠. 예를 들어 어떤 작품의 오디션을 보러 가게 돼서 뭐 지정곡을 받았는데 그게 내가 가지고 있는 결과 너무 다른 느낌이라면 그걸 그 악보가 가지고 있는 그 넘버가 가지고 있는 걸로 열심히 수련을 해서 짧은 시간이지만 그렇게 가야 하는지, 아니면
자의식대로 해야 되는지.
내가 잘하는 걸로 가져가야 하는지, 그게 좀 헷갈리는 것 같아요. 근데
정말 고맙습니다.
보이스로 물어보는 거나 사실 갖고자
I prefer putting your own voice into it and doing what is natural for you. Don't listen to a Broadway recording and try to copy that. Listen to the Broadway recording to understand the emotion that they're trying to act out, and then take that emotion and you do it as yourself.
것은 지금 아까 20년 정도 하셨다고 하셨나요?
20년 넘게.
20년 넘게 하셔도 변함없이 재밌으신지.
I do. I love to come to different shows and share the knowledge that I have of these shows with people, especially now that I've just turned 50 and my casts are usually in their 20s now, and so it's wonderful to be able to pass along the information that I was taught when I was in my 20s to help people do these shows now and bring them around the world. Right now in Los Angeles, California, it's people love Cats, of course. It's a great story, but I actually only had this cast since last summer and taught the show over the 6 weeks last summer, and really enjoyed that. I really enjoy performing the show each night. I love to travel and see new places, and so it's always a joy for me to be able to do this. And to play the same show over and over again does take discipline and a mindset of creating new things within something that you do over and over again. But it is a joy, and I'm coming up to my number 3,000 performance of Cats, and I did 4,700 shows of Phantom in my career. So to be able to do that, yeah, and I love it. And just an add-on to that note, I just wanted to acknowledge your piano player, the musician there, that he did a wonderful job and plays very sensitively and follows the singer in a very musical way. So a very good musician. And glad that you had him here.
We know that you're super busy, but whenever we give you questions, then you give us every single advice really deeply. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you. Yes, I enjoy this format actually to be able to give direct feedback, and I think it's the nice thing about PIVODIO that she's creating something that we can do this more often and more frequent. So I wish everybody the very best with that.
So when they're sending the files to ask you their feedback and advice, is there any preferable method or audio or video that you want to see?
I would love to see a video similar to what we just saw with the singer and a live musician doing something in the studio, video recording 3 to 5 minutes, and then I can go through, give technical advice. I can break it down into a technical and an artistic interpretation section for that. So, but video recording is best because I want to see your face and to see how you're connecting emotionally as well.
I was just telling the folks that how detailed you were, and I was very moved by how you're very complimenting everyone, but at the same time gave the very best critique to each and everyone. That was very touching. So I learned a lot throughout the show. So thank you, Jonathan, as always.
Yes, my pleasure. So when I was very young, I was in a children's choir in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and some of the best advice that I was given was when I was 9 years old, and that is that you must do everything you can to dream what you can do, and you must believe that you can accomplish it. And in that belief that you can accomplish it, then you must work as hard as you possibly can for that dream. It won't just happen, but if you do the work and study and really invest in yourself, I really believe that between the work and the belief in yourself, you can take yourself to very high places. I came from a very small town in the middle west of America and went to New York and was able to do some of the largest shows on Broadway. And so that was a dream, and it took a lot of work, and I'm forever grateful for it. But I do believe that it's possible for us to achieve our very best through those practices.